Hey y'all, Robbie Falk reporting from Duty Noble Field as the series is completed between Mississippi State and Georgia, and Mississippi State with a hard-fought victory on Sunday and just a ton of toughness shown by this team. And it's really been a continuation of what we've seen from this team basically since SEC play began. They just haven't been able to ultimately win a lot of these one-run games and these games where they've kind of been in the fight, but you can definitely sense a different kind of team for Mississippi State this year, and this might have been their toughest win of the season, considering what happened last night, on Saturday night, and what was happening on Sunday as well. So let's kind of take you back through the whole weekend. We'll kind of discuss a little bit of what happened and how it happened for Mississippi State this weekend, and what was a very tough series against a Georgia team that is doing some really good things in year one under Wes Johnson. Everybody knows who Wes Johnson is. He was a pitching coach here at Mississippi State in 2016. And I'll tell you what, Will Coggin, the hitting coach for Georgia, is doing an incredible job. And you look at what Kentucky is doing this year, you give a lot of the hat tip there to Will Coggin, who was a former Mississippi State player, a former Mississippi State assistant. He helped build that roster for Nick Mingione at Kentucky, and they are arguably the best team in the SEC right now. You can argue them and Arkansas. Probably Arkansas a little more talented top to bottom, but that might be one of the best offenses in the country at Kentucky, and what they're doing with Nick Mingione and I think Nick Amorati's there too, a former Mississippi State player. And Will Coggin now is turning Georgia's lineup into one of the toughest in the entire SEC. Came in the weekend, I think, with 83 home runs hit. They hit a few this weekend, but I thought Mississippi State navigated that lineup as good as anybody has this year against Georgia. Even Tennessee last week struggled with them at times. They did shut them out on Sunday, but the Bulldogs gave up, how many runs? 5 runs in the first 20 innings this weekend to a lineup that is very dangerous. The top 2 hitters for most of the weekend, Collins and Condon, are really difficult to get through. I thought State pitched Condon really well. They weren't scared of him. We might have seen one intentional walk towards him this week. I thought they would walk him a little bit more. They attacked him. They just attacked him very delicately. Did hit a home run on Saturday, but I think it was on a 1-2 pitch. State got ahead in the count, and he just drove that one out to left field, a line drive. So for the most part, great weekend for Mississippi State and what they did against Charlie Condon. And the whole lineup really State navigated fairly well. They didn't allow them to beat them with a long ball. We saw some singles, some sharp singles, not a whole lot of extra base hits for Georgia this weekend. So real big hat tip to the Bulldogs of Mississippi State for being able to work their way through that lineup carefully and not get beat on any kind of big innings. We saw really one big inning from Georgia this weekend, and it happened today in the third. So let's start on Friday night. Mississippi State and Georgia were in a bit of a pitcher's duel in that ball game. Neither team was able to break through for some big runs for most of the ball game. State was leading 2-1 going into the 8th inning, and with 2 outs, they were able to string together some big at-bats. They get a run to get a 3-1 lead, and that felt like what Mississippi State needed. The way that they were pitching at that point, it really felt like they were okay with that. But Connor Hijack delivered a huge 3-run home run, and that blew the game open, and you felt really good about the ninth with, I think, Cam Schuelke out there on the mound, and he was able to get through the lineup fairly easily there and get you a Friday night win. And that was a big win to get for Mississippi State. And I thought just the 2-out hitting there in the 8th inning was so big for Mississippi State to expand that lead and really kind of take the wheel out of Georgia. But 1 run on a Friday night for Mississippi State against that lineup was a big-time job by that crew. I thought Cal Stephen was excellent. Once again, Cam Schuelke did a really good job in relief to help Mississippi State. Now to a crazy Saturday for MSU, and I still cannot believe what happened in that ball game for Mississippi State, but it's a 2-2 ball game in the 8th inning. Again, the 8th inning is kind of the dramatic inning. Once again, it was on all 3 ball games. The 8th inning was a big part of the ball game. And in this game, you get a big hit, runners trying to score from first to third. Great relay throw in from Mississippi State. Imani Larry just nails the runner at the plate, and Johnny Long had him out by 2 or 3 feet. And the play escalates. Johnny Long is a very, very fiery guy. We've seen that from him all year long. Gets a little, over fiery there in that position, kind of stands over the runner, bumps him, and it gets a little heated. You got both benches not really clearing, but a lot of guys coming out on the field. Mississippi State's already on the field because they're playing the field at that point, and it's a really weird situation because you're not allowed on the field, you're not allowed on the surface there, and Mississippi State had all their starters out there on the field. Well, Georgia brought a lot of guys out of the dugout as well, and we have, the first review is he out at the plate? That was clear. He was out at the plate. Then was there any malicious contact? The umpire said no. There was no malicious contact from Johnny Long there. So then the SEC office wants to look at the play and see who's at fault here, who was coming off the bench, and it was just a disaster. Mississippi State lost 7 starters to ejection on that, and it lost them the game, plain and simple. The Bulldogs just got a huge play to get out of the inning, keep the ball game tied. You have all the momentum at that point because Georgia just missed a chance to get a run. In the heart of the orders coming up, you had David Mershon, Dakota Jordan, Hunter Hines coming up that inning with a chance to take the lead to go in the 9th. And instead, Mershon comes up, gets a single. Well, then you have all these reserves and you have pitchers that are in the game, and State couldn't get anything done. So you go to the 9th inning. Well, Mississippi State gives up a solo home run. Well, we got the wind situation there. State gives up a home run right there to a guy that should have been ejected from the ball game. That's what's crazy about the whole deal. The guy that hit the home run was standing on the field in the middle of all of that, and they had only lost, I think, 2 or 3 guys to ejection. He was not one of them. So they hit the solo home run. Mississippi State is batting Cal Steven in the 9th. The starting pitcher on Friday, Luke Dotson, a freshman left-handed pitcher. It was just, there was no chance for MSU to get that, and they lost the ball game 3-2. Devastating loss for Mississippi State, and at the time it felt even more devastating because MSU was losing its catcher for today in Johnny Long, and you thought that you were going to be out 6 other starters. So how is Mississippi State going to win this game on Sunday? But luckily the SEC cooler heads prevailed. They went back, realized that they screwed that up, and Johnny Long was out on Sunday, and Logan Kohler was out, who I still don't understand what he did wrong, because he came in and during that situation kind of dissolved the situation. He pulled a Georgia player out of the way, and in the SEC rule book it actually states if you are dissolving or diffusing the situation, you are not to be thrown out of the ball game, and that's what happened right there. So I didn't understand all the ejections, but Georgia had 3 players that were out today, were supposed to be out. One of them was not out of the ball game because they said that they didn't have enough catchers. So he has to actually be out on Tuesday in a meaningless midweek games. I don't understand that. Mississippi State was forced to hit pitchers. So I don't understand why he got that opportunity, but it is what it is. It was basically even again for MSU. They were without their third baseman, and that definitely showed up on Sunday in the defensive side of things with Logan Kohler being out. And then Johnny Long kind of being the emotional leader and the veteran of the team there at catcher. That was a big piece out. But Joe Powell came through with a big double in this ball game. I thought he was good in this game, and he did a good job. He helped Mississippi State win the game, and that was big. But State got down 5-0. Evan Sierry, we just talk about the adversity this team has faced this weekend. Nate Dome finally back. His first 12 pitches, he comes out of the ball game. Lamonis said afterwards there was nothing like a pop or anything in his elbow, but he just didn't feel comfortable. So he comes out. You're having to go to your bullpen 12 pitches in with no warm-ups from Evan Sierry. He didn't have any warm-ups hardly in the bullpen. He had to come in the ball game and throw pretty much cold. And I thought he did a good job in the first and second, but really kind of started teetering there in the third, and they were able to tag him for 5 runs. 4 of those came on a grand slam. And that was definitely tough. Mississippi State goes down 5-0. You got people on the message boards and on Twitter, fire Lamonis, this game's over. But here's the thing about this team this year. They are capable of fighting back in these ball games. They have guys that can really battle at the plate. The pitching, they have enough guys on the pitching staff that they can shut down a few innings. The team last year and the year before couldn't do that. So I urge you, early in the ball game, if Mississippi State goes down these games, it ain't over. This team has the capabilities of coming back. This is a different kind of team than we've seen the last 2 years. Now, they haven't been able to win these one-run games as often, but they have shown the propensity to get back in the ball games, and that's what they did today. So just kept tacking away. Some defensive miscues in the field from Georgia, and MSU was right back in at 5-5. Ended up taking the lead 7-6, and then went down 8-7. And going into the 8th inning, there it is again. MSU gets 2 guys on, ground ball up the middle. Slade Alford coming in on a ground ball from Connor Hijack. He makes the play cleanly. They possibly have a double play and they're out of the inning. Instead, he boots it. And that's a guy that was getting it all weekend from these Mississippi State fans. Former Mississippi State player, really struggled at third base for the Bulldogs last year. And, there was some controversy when he transferred. And there were a lot of people that were really on him, and I think it got to him. He was 2 for 12 this weekend with 6 strikeouts. He also had the big error right there that opened the door. It tied the ball game at 8, and then MSU comes right back with a big sacrifice fly from Bryce Chance. And I thought maybe the player of the game in this game was Tyler Davis. Last week, go back to Friday night last week, Mississippi State blew a 6-2 lead. Tyler Davis was kind of the start of that. He walked 2 guys to lead off the inning. They bring him out of the ball game. Friday night here, walked a guy, comes out of the ball game, and Chris Lamonis made a good point. That was kind of a pitch around, and it might have been Condon, I can't remember, but that doesn't really count. It was really just one bad outing, and Lamonis made a good point with that. But to bounce back the way that he did today was huge. For Mississippi State to have a left-handed pitcher that they can rely on late in ball games, they got to have it. And Tyler Davis, for the most part this year, has been that. Comes in, 3 shutout innings, gave up a hit, no runs, no walks, struck out 3, got a big strikeout to end the ball game in a quick 3-up, 3-down 9th inning. And you're sitting there waiting on something bad to happen in the 9th, and Tyler Davis just calmly gets through that bottom of the order, which has had some good moments this weekend. He got 2 ground outs and a strikeout to end it. So huge series win for Mississippi State. I cannot overstate it. And there's going to be people that again, overanalyze and say that Mississippi State should have swept, and I get it. They should have. Johnny Long should not have had that kind of reaction, but the SEC office should have not made that decision to put Mississippi State in that position where they're playing with the players that they were. The SEC office screwed that up. And Johnny Long screwed up, but at some point we have to hold these adults accountable too. And I think that Long is obviously torn up about it, as Lamonis said post-game, but the big thing is Mississippi State came back after all of that and found a way today at Dudy Noble Field. You had to win the series. Sweep would have been great. Sweep would have been great last weekend. They didn't get it. But you have to win series, and that's what Mississippi State did. It's very difficult to sweep teams in this league. You take a series win all day, and this was a series win against a good Georgia team. And it's great for MSU now moving forward. You go to Ole Miss this weekend, another huge series. You really need to win this series as well. And you've won this series every single year since 2016. So for the Bulldogs, you got to find a way to keep that going. Sweep would be great again. Sweep would be great, but just win the series. Win these series. If you win every series from here on out, you are going to be in the NCAA tournament. You don't have to sweep all these teams. But if you win the series, you're in great shape. And right now you're 6-6 after 12 games in the SEC. There's been about 4 games that Mississippi State could have won. Could have very easily be sitting here with 10 wins, with 11 wins. Didn't get it, but the thing that I take away from all this is MSU is growing and they're becoming themselves again. They're becoming a team that can hit in clutch situations at times. They're becoming a team that can pitch it. They're becoming a team that's tough. That when they step out on the field, they're the toughest team on the field. MSU is showing that, at least in some instances. Putting it all together is the big thing, and they have to do little things right. They, again today, did some little things wrong, and it could have cost them the game, but they found a way to overcome it. So, Mississippi State fans, you should be happy with the direction of where things are headed right now, but the Bulldogs have got to keep it up. They've got to continue to win these series, continue to have big moments in SEC play. And if they do that, this is a team that's going to be back in postseason this year. So, Bulldogs have UAB, I think, midweek this week before going to Ole Miss. Big midweek game. They have to win these things the rest of the way. They can't lose any more non-conference games. They've lost 6 of them. Can't lose any more if you want to get into postseason. So we'll see if they're able to do that. Don't know who they're going to start on Tuesday night, but we will keep you up to date. Make sure that you're tuned in over at Maroon and White Daily. Some news out there with Chris Jans interviewing for the Arkansas job. That's not great, but we will keep you up to date on that and anything else that comes along. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And I do want to remind you guys, too, this is for YouTube subscribers only. I'm only talking about this on YouTube. And I probably need to find that promo code. But first 2 months, if you listen to this YouTube, first 2 months on our site, $1. You can come sign up today and get 2 months for $1. I'll put it in the comments because I forget what the promo code is. But when you sign up for Maroon and White Daily, put in the promo code, you will get 2 months for just $1. You cannot beat that. And with the basketball news coming up, the portal is wide open for Mississippi State, depending on what happens with Chris Jans. And we got tons of other recruiting news. You want to be on board with us. So I'm going to put that in the comments. And if you sign up, put the promo code in, you will get 2 months for $1. I'm only advertising that on YouTube. So please come check us out. We would love to have you. And subscribe to this YouTube channel as well if you haven't. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back here on Tuesday night at Duda Noble Field for more Mississippi State baseball. Until then, I hope you guys have a great weekend as we close out this Sunday, and I'll catch you down the road.